All right, now it's opening day. Welcome into Fantasy Baseball today on Thursday, March 26th. I am Frank Stampfl, joined by Scott White and Chris Towers. Today on the show, opening day is here. We have bold predictions and other 2026 predictions. We'll talk awards, division winners, wild card teams, World Series matchup, all that.
Those are the ones that aren't bold. So we got the bold predictions, and then we've got like the cowardly predictions.
Yeah, don't write in with like, oh, you said something in your bold prediction, but then your actual prediction contradicted it, because like, yeah, that's fine.
I'll try not to get mad if you think one of my predictions isn't bold enough, like happened last year. By the way, that prediction came true. It
wasn't bold enough.
Yeah, I was going to preface everything with, Scott, you could give me any bold prediction you want as long as it's not Christian Yelich to hit 20 home runs.
It came true for like the first time in 5 years. It was on point.
I will say, it is nice, today's the real opening day, right? But we are recording this at 10:15 on Wednesday night, and we're watching a real baseball game. And I have always said that the baseball season doesn't start until Aaron Judge has struck out 4 times in a game. And usually that means the baseball season hasn't started until the playoffs. But today it started on opening day. I actually have a lot of nice things to say about the Yankees.
We're winning 7-0
in this episode. And so I had to get that out there just to balance it out, right? Like if I had a whole podcast where I was like really positive about the Yankees, that would feel wrong.
See, I don't know that everybody listening understands you're being ironic when you're saying this. So it just sounds like you've morphed into what you hate, basically.
What's that?
By ragging on Aaron Judge for his anti-clutchness.
Oh, but no, because if I was more okay, all right. If I was morphing into everything I hate, I'd be a Yankees fan.
Okay.
Well, you're going to be one today on the podcast, it sounds like.
I'm sorry. That was mean.
The angry Yankees texts are already going through in the group
I like
chat,
many Yankees fans.
I texted the group chat, Aaron Judge must think this is a playoff game. He's 0-4 with 4 strikeouts. So there we are. Way to get it started. But, so far, the offense outside of Aaron Judge has looked very good. We will have an FBT Express episode breaking down anything fantasy relevant that happened in this specific game, the Yankees and the Giants. But let's get into our bold predictions. We will do 3 fantasy ones each. We'll have a MLB prediction as well. And Scott, why don't you kick us off? A bold prediction for the 2026 season.
Okay. So we're only doing 3, huh? Okay.
Only 3.
I'll try to pick out the 3 best here.
Make them count.
I'm not sure if these are like so specific to fantasy, but they're relevant to fantasy. Okay. Bichette sets the record for most RBI by a player with fewer than 20 home runs.
What's
the record? Like 110 probably? 117, I would guess?
119. Okay. Tony Gwynn had a year where he drove in 119. So, this is kind of a 2-part prediction. I'm predicting Bichette to hit fewer than 20 home runs. I do think Citi Field, just given the way the ball comes off his bat, the angle it takes off his bat, is going to hurt him a little bit power-wise. He's more, right center with his power. But he's going to hit for average for sure. So he's going to just get a ton of hits. He's going to be batting directly behind Juan Soto, who's batting directly behind Francisco Lindor. And you just can't ask for a much better spot than that. I mean, maybe the better spot than that would be the guy hitting behind him, Jorge Polanco, because he also has Bo Bichette hitting in front of him. But I don't know. Bo Bichette, good average, not the best on-base skills. So maybe his spot's even better, just batting behind Soto there. So I think he hits over 300. It's not officially part of the bold prediction, but just by doing so and where he's batting in the lineup, gets a ton of RBI, sets a record, baby. 120 plus for Bichette. Let's go.
I like that call a lot, man. He's got Lindor and Juan Soto hitting ahead of him. Last year, Pete Alonso, 126 RBI hitting in that spot in the lineup for the Mets. And last year, Bo Bichette, in only 139 games, had 94 RBIs. So specifically, his skill set, the ability to make so much contact. And be aggressive. He swings a lot as well. That's a good combination when you have runners on base, and obviously should lead to lots of RBI for Bo Bichette this season.
I do have some bad news, though. The actual record for RBI with fewer than 20 home runs.
I meant the modern record.
Okay. Well, how are we defining modern? Integration era?
Beginning in the 20th century, I think.
Oh, Harry Heilman in 1921 for the presumably Detroit Tigers. Yeah, they've always been the Tigers. 139 in a 19. But yeah, I get. Okay,
let's put a year on it then. I thought.
Let's say expansion era.
I shortcutted looking this up, and clearly I shouldn't have. So it wasn't 119 for. Let's just say it's the most for a player with fewer than 20 home runs in. What year was that?
1921.
Yeah.
Since
1922.
In 100 years. Okay, is that enough time? 100
I
years.
don't think so, but it's fine.
It's not enough time.
Scott,
all right. I'm gonna look it up officially. This episode's already off the rails. It's my fault.
But I do want to add on to this that most hitters perform better with runners on base than with the bases empty. Probably because most pitchers perform worse with runners on base and the base is empty. I think that's probably the actual factor there. But Bo Bichette, it's a huge difference. With the bases empty for his career, he's a 753 OPS hitter. With runners on, he's an 881 OPS hitter. And I think this is one, people get the causation of lineup protection backwards. People think, oh, if you don't have a good hitter behind you, you don't have protection. And that's not really that is one of those things that Sabermetrics 1.0 debunked 30 years ago, right? We know that doesn't actually matter all that much. I'm not going to say it doesn't matter at all, but generally speaking, there's very little noticeable effect of the classic conception of lineup protection. Lineup protection comes in front of you. Lineup protection comes from having guys on base in front of you. And high contact hitters like Bo Bichette, like Tony Gwynn, historically perform significantly better with runners on base than with the bases empty. And I think that the reasons for that are fairly obvious. Teams are trying to play defense differently when there are runners on base, right? If there's a runner on first, you got the infield in, or you're playing double play depth, right? So you might have guys on the move if the runner takes off. And so hitters who have that ability to, quote unquote, hit them where they ain't will benefit from the defense being in motion, the defense being out of position. And so this is an underrated aspect of a player like Bo Bichette's game, where he should be an excellent run producer hitting third in this lineup.
Okay, since 1950. Okay, apparently a lot of players hit fewer than 20 homers and still had a wheelbarrow full of RBI pre-1950. But since 1950, Tony Gwynn has the record at 119. And that is what Bo Bichette's going to exceed. Okay, are we all satisfied with that?
I agree.
75 years. How about that? The last 75 years.
Sure, 75 years.
Chris, you are up. Bold prediction number 1.
Ronald Acuna and Ellie De La Cruz both go 40-40 this season.
That's pretty spicy.
That seems bold for Ronald Acuna in the stolen base direction because he only had 9 in 95 games last season. But obviously, look, he has a 40-70 season under his belt, so you might be saying, oh, that's not that bold. He didn't run nearly as much last season, but he was actually pretty close to a 40-homer pace. And then between the World Baseball Classic, the Venezuelan Winter League, and spring training, I think he stole 13 bases on 15 attempts in 30 games is the exact number. So he's been telling us all offseason that he's going to run a ton again, Ronald Acuna has. So I think 30-30, that's not bold. 40-40 is bold for Ronald Acuna. So I'm sticking with that. And then Ellie, he had 37 steals last season. I think he would have gotten to 40 easily, if not for that quad injury that he played through in the second half. He was only on a 30-homer pace in the first half before the quad injury, so he does need to grow as a hitter. But we saw the best strikeout rate of his career. We have seen him be a more, pull-heavy hitter in the past, and I'm hoping we see a little growth there because he had actually one of the lowest pulled air rates in baseball last season. The raw power for Elly De La Cruz is absolutely there. The contact skills have been improving, and I think they will continue to improve. And so it's just about putting it together. We know he has the skills to go 40-40. This one's more bold than Ronald Acuna, but I think I'm sticking with both of these guys have the chance to challenge to be the number one player in fantasy this season.
How about this, Chris? Fun with small sample sizes. Elly De La Cruz this spring in 18 games, his ground ball rate was only 40%. His average EV was 96 miles per hour. His barrel rate was 28%. So I don't know. Maybe start to figure some things out with the launch angle. That would be nice.
I mean, that's the thing is he's been around for a while. This is his fourth season, I believe, but he's still only 24. He just turned 24 2 months ago, too. There is significant room for growth here with Elly De La Cruz, and I feel like after years of everybody being probably too high on him and giving him too much credit for stuff he hasn't done, I feel like the community has kind of cooled on Elly De La Cruz in a way that I don't really think makes sense. This was a guy that
first rounder still, Chris?
Yeah, but he was like a top 5
I think you're overstating.
Pick.
Yeah, well, but we were arguing against that.
Sure.
So now, top 11, top 10 or whatever is more appropriate.
But the thing about it is he showed significant growth as a hitter before that quad injury last season. I think people are treating it as
but
if
top 5 required him
to
do that.
And I think the growth was real. I think we saw a leap last season that the quad injury covered up. And I think we're going to see by far the best season of Elly De La Cruz's career.
His ADP in the past week over at the NFBC, 8.8. So, still a pretty consistent top 10 pick there for Elly De La Cruz. My first bold prediction, and I'm going to get the homer stuff out of the way. Mm-hmm. Ben Rice finishes as the top catcher and first baseman in fantasy.
Whoa.
That's pretty good.
Whoa.
Right? Pretty good.
You had me thinking, that's not bold enough, Frank. And then you brought in the number one first baseman. So you are telling me that I'm going to be justified in that the only 2 leagues where I drafted Ben Rice, it was to play first base because catcher is so loaded that it seemed obvious. Well, I better just draft another catcher instead of another first baseman.
The smartest decision you made all fantasy draft season.
All right.
Ben Rice at first base.
Is this actually bold? Wasn't the best catcher better than the best first baseman last season? I don't know if that's that bold.
That's probably true.
Yeah, historic season from Cal Raleigh.
Maybe not on a per game basis, though.
I would think Cal Raleigh was better than Nick Kurtz on a per game basis.
I mean, Nick Kurtz was on a 50 homer pace, right? With much better batting average.
Yeah, but Cal Raleigh hit 60 with 15 steals.
Yeah. I think Cal Raleigh probably cleared the bar there, but obviously expecting some Raleigh regression there. I think the first base position is loaded, especially up top, right? There's Alonso, there's Nick Kurtz, there's a lot of guys that are proven. Ben Rice, we've talked a lot about this offseason, the StatCast numbers and everything under the hood from last season. 394 expected WOBA last year, ranked 9th among qualified hitters, and it was better than any other qualified catcher or first baseman. So if he keeps that going, if everything clicks, what could it look like for Ben Rice? 280, 290, 300 with 40 home runs? I think that can contend to be the number one first baseman in fantasy this season. So that's number 1. It's out of the way. Ben Rice, let's go.
All right. The hype has not died here. I feel like he kind of fizzled out. The hype train for Ben Rice, it peaked too early.
Yeah.
I'm mixing metaphors here, but you get what I'm saying.
He should have
pre-spring, he was the one everybody had to have, and then everyone kind of stopped talking about him after that. So he dropped back down to 20 spots or so.
He should have released the Uncle Ben's Rice promotional content.
I love that.
Pre-spring training, and that would have kept the hype going, I think.
Scott, did you see that? He's now sponsored by Uncle Ben's Rice, Ben Rice's.
I mean, it's natural.
It's
it's
you love to see it.
It was hanging right there. It was the low hanging fruit. Somebody had to grab it.
The most delicious fruit is the low hanging fruit.
Before we hit our first break, we did it. We made it not only to opening day, 36K.
That's what we were always aiming for.
Always.
Anybody who says otherwise is a gaslighter.
Yeah. Send us the tape where we said anything other than 36K. We did get over to 36. So thank you all to those who have subscribed. Keep subscribing if you haven't already. Like this video if you're watching on YouTube. We do appreciate you. Let's take that break, and we'll be back right after this.
You need a hug? You need a fist?
Crutch.
Crutch, you need anything.
I do have one question.
We didn't mean right now.
Welcome back in Fantasy Baseball today. A happy opening day to all. And let's continue on with our bold predictions. Scott, you are back up.
Alrighty. This season, another record this season. And I actually thoroughly looked this one up. So you're not gonna get a gotcha at me, a 75-year-old gotcha. All right. The most catchers with 30-plus home runs this season. Now, the record was equaled last season with 4. That had been done once previously. What was the year? I don't remember the year, but it was recently. The only, 1996, I think there was 3 guys with 30-plus home runs, and a year more recently there was 4, and then last year there was 4 with 4 catchers with 30-plus home runs. We're going to set a record this year. We're going to get to 5. Now,
Ben Rice.
Which 5?
He doesn't count. He's the first baseman.
Maybe. I want to count him because obviously it improves the chances of this coming true, but I don't think he's going to play half the time at catcher. So, like, from an official MLB standpoint. Hunter Goodman, he did it last year. He was one of the 4, so he could do it again. Shea Langoliers did it last year. He was one of the 4, could do it again. Salvador Perez did it last year, could do it again. Cal Raleigh, of course, did it last year, could do it again. Who else? Ben Rice, but we're not going to count him. Agustin Ramirez could. Mm-hmm. Samuel Basallo could.
Yep.
Carter Jensen could. Your guy, Francisco Alvarez, Chris.
I think he's the most likely of that group to actually get to it.
I think even Austin Wells could, theoretically.
I think Drake Baldwin could.
If he gets the ground ball rate down, I think. Yeah.
It's possible.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna call it 5. At least 5 catchers hit 30-plus home runs.
Yeah,
Certainly if we want to say fantasy eligible catchers, that keeps Rice in there, but we don't have to say that. I think it could still happen.
I mean, heck, did Logan O'Hoppe? No, he only had 20 the year before. I thought he had more. Austin Wells, 21 and 448 plate appearances. So just a little bump in playing time. I think we could see that. Agustin Ramirez, 21 and 130 games, I think. Wouldn't take a huge amount of growth. Yeah.
Actually, 1996 was the other year it was 4. That was Terry Steinbach, Benito Santiago, Nick Hundley, and I believe Mike Piazza was the other one. 1996.
Not a Javi Lopez year. Okay, I would have guessed Javi Lopez.
Not a Javi Lopez year, though. He was one of the 2 years where 3 got to 30.
All right, I like it. Chris, back to you for your second bold prediction.
Is this one bold enough?
I was just looking at it. It's not.
You don't think it's bold enough? Okay, all right. I mean, look, there's a 120 pick difference in ADP between Luis Arraez and Jacob Wilson. My bold prediction is Luis Arraez is more valuable than Jacob Wilson for fantasy in 2026. Is it just not bold enough because they're kind of boring players?
No, I just didn't think they're going that far apart. I just looked up the past week. It's 80 picks.
Okay.
Come on, 80 picks.
Similar skill set.
I don't like a quarter of the draft.
That's my point. That's my point. Is they are very similar skill sets, and if you look at the underlying numbers, they're the same guy. I know Jacob Wilson had 13 homers last season. Luis Arraez's career high is 10, but it's a 1 percentage point difference in barrel rate. It's a lower average exit velocity for Jacob Wilson. The hard hit rate is slightly better, but 24.6% for Jacob Wilson. That's right in line with Luis Arraez's 24.7% mark for his career. The ballpark helps Jacob Wilson for sure. But this is not a guy who pulls the ball in the air a ton. This is not a guy who hits the ball hard when he hits it in the air. He actually had a lower average exit velocity on line drives and fly balls than Luis Arraez. My point is, and has been all spring, I think Jacob Wilson's overrated this season for fantasy because he's just Luis Arraez. And I think Luis Arraez was kind of overrated for a little while in fantasy. And I think Jacob Wilson is now overrated for fantasy. And Luis Arraez, I think probably a little underrated.
Counter bold prediction.
Okay.
This isn't one of my official ones, but counter bold prediction. Jacob Wilson hits double the home runs Luis Arraez hits this year.
Yeah.
It might be like 6-12 or 7-14, but double. Because Arraez now left-handed hitter at Oracle Park.
That's going to hurt.
Yeah, it's going to help the batting average probably.
Yeah. He actually just hit a single and extends his hitting streak going back to last season to 16 games. So, Luis Arraez. I don't know, Scott. Does it check out? Do you think Chris's bold prediction is?
Look, I've already written it. So if you do say it doesn't count, then you are condemning me to roughly 17 more minutes of work.
I think it's fine. I think it's wrong, but such is the nature of bold predictions. Look, it could happen, and I think just given how far apart they are in the rankings, given how they're being regarded in fantasy right now, I think it qualifies as bold.
All right,
now you have me rethinking it. I might.
When you told it to me before we started recording, I didn't blink at it.
Yeah, you seemed fine with it.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. My second bold prediction. Scott is not going to like this one. I already know. Sal Stewart outperforms Freddie Freeman. If you listen to the show, you're well aware of my love affair with Sal Stewart by now. He was a complete hitter in the minors. We saw a lot of that this spring where he hit 327, 3 homers, 4 steals, more walks than strikeouts, 11 walks to 9 strikeouts this spring. The second part of it is I am expecting Freddie Freeman to take a little bit of a step back. He's getting older. He's 36 years old, starting to slow down a little bit. We saw the strikeout rate jump up a little bit last year. The quality of contact came down. I still think Freeman will be serviceable. I think he'll hit 270 to 280 with like the low 20s and home runs. But I think there's a chance that Sal Stewart outperforms that. I could see Stewart this year hitting, 270 to 280, maybe even a little bit more pop than Freddie Freeman and chip in like 10 to 15 steals. So, yes, they're going pretty far apart in ADP. I think Freeman's around like 60 and Stewart is in like the 160-ish range, so about 100 picks later. But I'm calling it. Sal Stewart outperforms Freddie Freeman. Thoughts?
I think it's reasonable. I think I can't remember because I had a draft this morning at like 11:30 a.m. and some of you in the audience might scoff at this, but I wasn't awake when that draft started. We work weird hours. I didn't fall asleep until like 4 a.m. And so I was still asleep. I got multiple text messages telling me that the draft was starting. I think I did get Sal Stewart finally because I don't think I had Sal Stewart in any league. So I finally got my share of Sal Stewart. So I'm with you on that one.
I think Sal Stewart is good enough that he could outperform Freddie Freeman. That is theoretically possible. Theoretically. But I think Freddie Freeman's still really good.
Yeah, fair enough. Scott, why don't you give us your final fantasy bold prediction?
Can I like rattle off some just for
give
fun?
Give us your third official one, and then I'll give you the opportunity to rattle.
Okay, all right. Isaac Paredes plays more than any other Astros infielder.
That would be okay. Cool. Yeah, that checks out.
Does he play more than any other Astros infielder for the Astros?
Yes.
Okay.
Carlos Correa, he's hurt all the time. Christian Walker, not that good anymore, and he's at an age where he could get hurt. Jose Altuve is probably the biggest stretch, but he's in his mid-30s. So, things happen. We've already seen Jeremy Pena get hurt. He's ready for opening day. So it's not like that's going to count against him, but he missed some time with injury last year too. No stranger to injuries himself. And I think Isaac Paredes, first of all, even when everybody's healthy, I think he's going to play a lot more than people expect. I saw his main event ADP is near 300 over the past 3 days, which is insane. because I think he's the Astros' second best hitter, and I think they have to recognize that too. So they're going to find a way, playing him all over to get him in the lineup close to every day, and there will be enough injuries that he ends up playing more than the others.
I hope it works out, man. I am with you guys on the talent of Isaac Paredes. I just have not been able to press draft, and that could just be me playing scared. Scared money don't make money, but I agree that he is a talented hitter and he should be in there somewhere. I don't see how it will happen every day, but I hope I'm wrong and that his bat just
super utility. That is the term they use going back to Ben Zobrist, and it'll apply to Isaac Paredes this year.
I hope so. And if that happens, he will turn out to be a massive value in fantasy drafts this season. Chris, you have a bold prediction for one of the two teams that are still playing right now.
Yeah, and this one, if you remember last spring, maybe I sound like a hypocrite because I was down on this guy. But my third bold prediction is Ryan Walker leads the National League in saves. I was not a Ryan Walker fan when he was being drafted as a top 12 closer a year ago with an all-star closer backing him up in the bullpen. I just didn't think the odds were great on that one, and it turned out that was a good call. But man, like there is no competition in that Giants bullpen.
No faith in Jose Buto, huh?
I mean, like, I'm not saying there's no talent, but there is no...
No, there's no one there.
There's no Camilo Doval behind him. You know, say what you want about how shaky Camilo Doval has been over the past couple of years. But again, the guy was an all-star at one point. He might have led the NL in saves one year. Ryan Walker just has no competition. Every sign out of Giants world is that he's going to be the closer without any question. I think he's a lot better than the 4.11 ERA we got last season. It was 2.98 for his career with a 3.11 xERA, 10.5 K per. Like this is a good pitcher. And all of a sudden, there's no job security risk here. I think, the Giants saved 41 games as a team last season. I think the overwhelming majority of those are going to go to Ryan Walker, excuse me. And I think he's going to be a really good closer for fantasy this season. He became kind of my favorite of the later round closers because his price just never really seemed to. I think the main event, his ADP is like 130, but that's closer prices get pushed up a lot there.
Closer prices, pitcher prices, catcher prices. I was studying that before the show. Main event.
Yeah, maybe you can correct, but I think I saw that he was around 130 in the main events, but that's like 210 for normal drafts.
106.
Yeah, he got pushed up towards the end just because people finally realized, hey, this is a good pitcher who has no competition for saves on a good team. Like, I don't think they're going to win 95 games, but I think this is an 80 to 85 win team. They're definitely going to be competitive. So I think Ryan Walker has been one of the better values at closer over the run of spring. Do we want to? I also want to try out some. You guys have me now questioning my Luis Arraez one, so I want to throw a couple more out there. But maybe Frank, you do yours, and then Scott and I can riff on a few.
Yeah, we could do that. A little rapid fire back and forth there. Ryan Walker, by the way, if you just look at his Fantasy Pros ADP, so lots of home league ADP, CBS, ESPN, Yahoo. 197 as
that sounds more reasonable.
Second close reliever off the board in fantasy. So very affordable in a lot of the drafts that we've been doing and talking about here. My last bold prediction, I guess I'm just a Reds fan for this year.
You better have picked them to make the playoffs.
I actually didn't. So,
wow.
Oh my God, Frank, you didn't correlate your stuff. Oh my God. Chase Burns throws 150 innings and finishes as a top 12 starting pitcher in fantasy. So
in just 150 innings?
In 150 innings. Last year, Nathan Eovaldi did it with 130, but he also had like a sub-2 ERA.
Yeah, I guess if you're doing the roto thing.
Look, it's not going to happen in a points league. I think on a per start basis, he could be really good. In Roto, I think realistically, like if he only throws 150, the highest he could finish is probably like top 15 or top 20.
Yeah, Zach Wheeler was 14 with 149 innings last year.
Yeah. So the point is, I just think when he pitches, he has the chance to be really, really good. We're talking about ace level starting pitcher. And this is kind of twofold because he also has to stay healthy. Last year, he had the flexor strain, and this spring, just kind of some weird stuff going on. The Reds talking that They didn't like his arm mobility throughout some starts. So it was just kind of a weird spring for Chase Burns, but his last start in spring was really good. He already has one of the best fastball slider combinations in baseball, and he's, whatever, he is 22, 23 years old. So if he can get to 150 innings, I think he's going to be really, really awesome on a per start basis, probably approach 200 strikeouts in just 150 innings and be amazing. So,
yep. It does feel like, and maybe this is me reacting too much to his final spring start, which is very good, but it does feel like a little, the bloom is off the rose a little too much as far as late drafting goes for Mr. Chase Burns.
Yeah, and I only have him, I think, on one or two teams. And before that previous start, I told myself that I was not going to use him this first week of the season. And after that last start, getting up to 68 pitches, I think he could probably go 75, 80 right away. So if I have Chase Burns, I'm just using him the first week in fantasy. So no issues there with starting Chase Burns. All right, I'll let you guys just kind of rapid fire, go back and forth. Scott, you were up first.
All right, Dalton Varsho hits 35 home runs.
Not bold enough.
40!
Come on, it'd be his career high by far. 35 home runs.
All right, Chris, what do you got?
Max Muncy outscores Max Muncy. Now, I know what you're thinking. That's not bold. Max Muncy's an all-star. He plays for the Dodgers. No, friends, I'm talking about Max Muncy of the Athletics outscoring Max Muncy of the Dodgers. That's what I mean. He had a great spring. He was a prospect of some note.
That's a fun one.
Great lineup, great ballpark. Yeah, I like that one. I thought that felt good off the bat,
Yeah, I like that one.
High XBA on that one.
All right, Scott, back to you.
Kazuma Okamoto outscores Alex Bregman by 50.
I was thinking about something along those lines.
I said 100 off the air, and you told me that was way too much.
Yeah, 50's not
and I
bold
looked
enough.
at it, and it was like, yeah, 100's way too much.
You should have gone with 75. 75 was the perfect number.
Okamoto outscores Bregman by 50. Look, Bregman's always been a points league specialist, and this is obviously a points league tailored take.
I had a crazy one that I was wrestling with, but it turned out to be too crazy. I'll just mention it. It's not one of my official predictions, but Michael Garcia has more home runs and steals combined than Bobby Witt Jr. But it was just too crazy.
That's crazy.
It
was too crazy.
That's crazy.
And I still think it's like I don't want
60 for Bobby Witt last year, probably.
And it was like 39 for Michael Garcia. Yeah. So I don't think that's going to happen.
There's bold predictions, and then there's just like you're a crazy online conspiracy theorist. Which probably means you're going to develop a huge audience. But
I don't want to. I don't want to do any kind of bold prediction that downplays Bobby Witt either, because I think he's amazing. Obviously, Chris, what else you have?
Munetaka Murakami. Now I don't know if this one's 35 homers. Is that bold enough?
That was bold.
40, man. I think Varsho and Murakami 40 each. Let's go. Nice round number.
I love a round number.
35's round.
Yeah.
The Braves have 4 players who go 2020. Now, I don't want to name the 4 players, but it seems like there are only 4 who could do this. So I'll go ahead and name them. They are Ronald Acuna, Ozzie Albies, Michael Harris, and Austin Riley.
That'd be pretty fun.
Yeah.
I thought
That's
about
Antoine Richardson's influence, by the way, the first base coach.
I thought about just throwing caution in the wind and doing a Riley 30-30.
I almost made this 3 who get to 30-30 instead of 4 who get to 2020.
Oof.
That'd be interesting.
That's out there.
Yeah, that's too much.
I was looking at last year's bold predictions. Most of them were wrong. That's how this works. I'm thinking about doubling down on one of them, and that is Mike Trout is a top 10 outfielder for fantasy. We saw him stay mostly healthy. I know the strikeout rate was way high last season, but he is feeling much better this year. And the way you can say that is the case is there was the quote early on in spring. He hit 29.9 feet per second on a sprint in like the first or second game of the spring. And a reporter pointed it out to him, and he was like, I can do 30. And then I think like 2 days later, he hit 30 feet per second on a sprint. And my thought process here is very similar to what happened with Byron Buxton last year, where he was coming off another injury-plagued season, had the knee surgeries the year before. They stopped him from playing in the outfield. I think he was playing just full-time DH in 2024. 2025 spring training, he's feeling much better. They announced he's going to be playing spring center field again all season. Well, Angels announced Mike Trout's going to be playing center field this season. He's running faster than he has since before the knee surgery in 2024. I think we get one more bounce-back Mike Trout season.
All right.
This is similar to your Ryan Walker one, Chris. Jeff Hoffman leads the majors, all the majors in saves.
He's on a great team.
Really good team.
Keep that home run rate down.
I think he's a really good reliever. He might be the top relief pitcher in fantasy if he does that. I just wasn't willing to pick against like Mason Miller for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Chris, you have anything left?
I got one more.
All right.
Yordan Alvarez is a top 5 outfielder in fantasy in 2026. He is going to get those 5 games that he needs in the outfield, and he's going to get them early. He's going to get them in like April.
That's part of the way Isaac Paredes plays more than any other Astros infielder.
And he is going to have an absolutely monstrous season. Top 3 AL MVP votes. Spoiler alert, I do have the Astros making the playoffs again because they just always do. 307 average, 40 homers, 117 RBI, 103 runs for Yordan Alvarez, and 2 stolen bases.
2.
Two stolen bases that are really going to push it.
All right, Scott, you're all alone.
Just a handful more here. Trey Savage, who's currently injured, throws more innings than Jacob deGrom. A little shaded deGrom there.
Wow.
This one, I told you I had a deGrom one. This one might take people by surprise because I never really talked to this player up as like a sleeper or a breakout, but I just have kind of a gut feeling that I can't back up analytically. And this is the take. Cade Horton has a top 5 Cy Young finish.
Oh, jeez.
He had there was some real impressive stuff during the spring because we talked a lot about, he's way too fastball heavy last year to sustain his success, but he had that start against Cleveland where he threw like 40% changeups, which it was a very lefty heavy lineup. Yeah.
Right.
But that's what you need to be able to do. You need to be able to have the skill set to mix it up depending on the lineup. And
sure,
got a ton of whiffs with it. And I think the secondaries are good. It's just, can he stay healthy and do it? I like that pick. I drafted him a couple times late.
Chase DeLauder stays healthy. That's the whole prediction. If you know his history, it's plenty bold.
I've got a slightly bolder one coming up when we get to our MLB bold predictions.
Sir Anthony Dominguez makes the All-Star team. He's the White Sox lone representative. This is a fun one. Tyler Glasnow leads the Dodgers in innings pitched.
I hope that does not happen because I have no Glass now and I have a few shares of Yamamoto and Sheehan. So
it would have been a little more fun to pick Ohtani for this, but I picked Glasnow.
I mean, I toyed with Ohtani doubles up. I mean, MVP and Cy Young.
Basically, I'm counting on a Yamamoto injury for this to come true. But otherwise, I don't think it's too big of a stretch. Like a lot of pitchers in that rotation just aren't going to throw many innings. Let's see. Josh Smith is a top 12 player at 3 different infield spots. He's going to end up eligible at all 4. He's going to be top 12 at 3 of them. I think
not at shortstop, I assume.
Probably not.
I don't want to be specific about it. Things could go wrong at shortstop, and maybe he does. But I really think I think there's a chance that the power we saw this spring is there's some legitimacy to it, and he's a good on base guy. He steals some base. He's going to be eligible at all 4 infield spots once he picks up second base. So obviously it's bold. It's a stretch. I'm not counting on Josh Smith doing that, but I think it's possible. So I'm going to say it.
What is the stat line? What does the stat line look like, Scott, for him to do that?
Combined 40 homers and steals, 275 batting average, gets on base a lot.
Yeah.
Something like that.
I think that would check out.
Can I throw one more out there?
I think I'm out. I'll look while you throw this one out.
Jordan Lawler is a top 12 third baseman and top 20 outfielder.
What's the stat line?
257, 23 homers, 27 steals, 81 RBI, 84 runs.
That would be a pretty awesome season. That's probably a top 5 round player next year in fantasy.
Yeah, I think the upside's there, sure.
Yep. It sounds a lot like Zach Neto, doesn't it? It's pretty close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I know it's Reno, and that's an easy hitting environment, but dude's got a 990 career OPS at AAA.
Mm-hmm. Scott, any left, or are we done?
I think that's it. I think we can move on.
I mean, you
think
do
we
need
did a good job there.
You need one more. We have
What
one
is
more
it?
coming up, right?
Yeah. We have the MLB bold.
MLB bold prediction.
Yeah. We'll take our final break. When we return, we'll get to our MLB bold predictions. So that's not within the game of fantasy, just one grand scheme thing or player related, and we will do that right after this.
When you need your sports news all the time,
We've got breaking news to bring to you.
CBS Sports HQ hits every highlight from all the sports that matter to you.
We're bringing you that breaking news right here on HQ.
CBS Sports HQ, streaming free 24/7.
Welcome back in Fantasy Baseball. Today we are talking bold predictions. We got our fantasy bold predictions out of the way. How about some MLB bold predictions? Chris, what do you have here?
Piggybacking off Scott's previous bold prediction, because they need to happen together, Chase DeLauter is an all-star. And Chase DeLauter is the American League Rookie of the Year. I am getting really excited about Chase DeLauter. I really think it's just, if Scott's bold prediction comes through, I think this bold prediction comes true. That's how good I feel about Chase DeLauter.
The DeLauter stays healthy one.
If he plays 135 games, I think he's going to be the American League Rookie of the Year. I think he is going to be the second best hitter on the Guardians. If they're going to have any chance of making the playoffs, they're going to need a big season from him, and I think he is fully capable of it. I've given the stats a couple times in the past couple of days, but he just had a huge spring. It was like 400 batting average, 95 mile per hour average exit velocity, 97% in zone contact rate, more walks than strikeouts. This dude is just a hitter, and it's a 900 OPS over the course of his minor league career, despite missing a ton of time. I really think Chase DeLauter is a special hitter, and I hope we get to see it.
Yeah, you've mentioned this before as well. He's played 138 career games in the minors, Chase DeLauter, and has hit 302 with 20 homers, 8 steals, and an 888 OPS. So, yeah, if he gets that 140 plus, we get some power, speed. I mean, it's really good eye at the plate, good OBP for Chase DeLauter. So, and the Guardians need him. They also need Bazzana, who we spoke about yesterday, and I think we could see Bazzana within the first 2 months of the season. I think they need him that badly.
Yeah, I think he's going to get the call soon. Yeah.
Scott, what about an MLB bold prediction this season?
I probably should have saved the 30 homer catchers one for this, but I didn't realize we were breaking them up this way. So I'll come up with one on the fly here. I don't know that it's bold enough, but it's something I've been thinking about. Neither the White Sox nor the Pirates finish in last place, which is sad news for both the Twins and the Cardinals, because I think they're the teams that finish behind them.
Yeah, I wanted to choose the Pirates as one of my wild card teams so badly. I couldn't get there, but I want Paul Skeens in the playoffs so bad. And even just imagining what a Pirates starting rotation in the playoffs would look like is just so fun to think about, right? Skeens, Chandler, maybe a returning Jared Jones looks awesome, or even Braxton Ashcraft gets to that next level. I mean, hoping the Pirates can get it done and take that next step this year.
What was it, 2016 the last time they made the playoffs? Something like that?
Yeah. I was going to say, Andrew McCutchen was on the team, but he was on the team last year.
Yeah. I have a good friend who's a Pirates fan, and he has a yearly tradition of watching the game the last time the Pirates won a playoff game.
Oh, wow.
And the vibes at PNC Park were electric.
Yeah.
When that happened. So I would, my dad's family's from Pittsburgh. I've been to PNC Park a bunch of times. I would love to see playoff baseball in PNC Park again.
So the Pirates have made the playoffs 3 times in the last 33 years.
Wow.
And those
So since Barry Bonds left?
And those 3 times and those 3 times were 2013, 2014, and 2015. Yep. So there was this beautiful 3-year run within the 33 years. And that was it.
I did not realize it was that bad. Wow.
Yep.
All right, this one is the boldest prediction of the entire episode. And it's not even a prediction for 2026. It's a prediction that would come true by the next time we are doing this podcast. Bold predictions on the eve of opening day in 2027. So here it is. MLB and the Players Association will agree on a new CBA that includes both a salary cap and a floor, and we will not miss any games in 2027.
I agree with at least part of this. I don't think we're going to lose any games.
Partially me wish casting, and I should have prefaced this. I'm not like pro owners and anti players or anything, but I do think something needs to change within the like financial structure of the way that baseball is right now between the haves and the have-nots. And I like the idea of we have to get the lower teams to spend more money. And I don't know exactly what that looks like. Is it, 120 million on the bottom and like 300 on the top? I don't know. I don't know what's feasible, but that's what I came up with. And I hope it happens. So.
Well, I saw today the Marlins are entering the season with $83 million as their CBT payroll, which remember the reports early in the offseason, the Marlins were going to spend money? Not so much. They have the lowest payroll in baseball.
Well, they did on Chris Paddock. Good thing they did that.
Yeah, they did spend $20 million on one-year deals for Chris Paddock and Pete Fairbanks, yes.
All right. We do have some news that I'll quickly run through. I mean, it's mostly just players being placed in the IL, so it's more of a reminder than anything. And I understand that this time of year is kind of frustrating for people because we're waiting for players to be placed on the IL so that we can make moves in our fantasy leagues. Just a heads up that on CBS, we're at the mercy of real MLB teams. So they just don't get that injury designation on CBS until a team actually does it in real life. So that's what we're waiting on to happen. And things have been happening. So names that were officially placed on the IL, Zach Wheeler with the thoracic outlet surgery. He's still rehabbing, supposed to start a rehab assignment this weekend. Garrett Cole still recovering from that Tommy John surgery. Josh Hader with left biceps tendonitis. Blake Snell with left shoulder fatigue. Spencer Strider with a left oblique strain. Carlos Rodon still rehabbing from the bone spur surgery. Should be back in April. Seiya Suzuki with that sprained PCL in his right knee. Kyle Stowers, grade 1 right hamstring strain. Jordan Westberg with a partially torn UCL in his elbow. Nick Lodolo with that blister on his finger. Trey Savage with the shoulder impingement. Shane Bieber with forearm fatigue. Bryce Miller with a left oblique strain. Jackson Holiday still recovering from a fractured hamate bone. Kyle Teal with that right hamstring strain. Joe Musgrove with the elbow. Not exactly sure what it is with Musgrove. He just wasn't bouncing back well after his lone start spring.
Feels a little like Shane Bieber last year. Remember, he made like one rehab start and then kind of got shelved for a month. That's what it makes me think of.
Merrill Kelly is still building up after that back injury. Kirby Yates has left knee inflammation. Quinn Priester with a mild case of thoracic outlet syndrome. I don't think that's a real thing, but that's how they described it. Justin Steele was placed on the 60-day IL. I did think this was at least a little surprising. I get that they open up a spot on the 40-man roster by doing this, but I thought there was a chance Justin Steele could be back like early May, but now it'll be late May or early June. At the earliest for Justin Steele. So,
and one thing I wanted to highlight with Garrett Cole, because my initial reaction to him being placed on the 15-day IL instead of 60-day IL was, well, that's good news. I still think it's good news. Like, he's already pitched into spring training games. I assume he's going to go on a rehab assignment fairly quickly. But apparently the rule is that you can't put a player on the 60-man IL unless you have a full 40-man roster. I didn't realize that was a rule, but that was what,
I didn't know that either.
That was what I saw Mike Asisa said that. So that could be the case with Cole. I still think because he's pitched in 2 real games already that he might not have been on the 60-day IL anyway. But I did want to flag that because I had a couple people point that out to me as well.
All right, a couple other news items here. Jeremy Pena is all clear for opening day, so if you drafted him, get him in your lineups. Didn't mention this yesterday, but Ketel Marte was scratched from Tuesday's exhibition with lower leg soreness, and he does have a history of nagging soft tissue injuries, so I don't think it's worrisome for now, but let's keep an eye on it.
I'm not too worried about that one. It's mostly been hamstrings when he's missed a lot of time, so hopefully that's different.
Yep. Ryan Pepio is set to resume a throwing program this weekend. On Tuesday, he went on the IL with right hip inflammation. The Giants lineup against lefty Max Fried here on Wednesday night. Luis Arraez, Matt Chapman, Rafael Devers, Willie Adames, Jung-Hoo Lee, Elliot Ramos, Casey Schmidt at first base. I wrote Bailey Ober. That's not true. That would be Patrick Bailey. And Harrison Bader. I don't know what they'll do against a right-handed pitcher. I guess we'll find out on Friday. But this could just be their formation for now. Casey Schmidt at first and Devers at DH.
Yeah, I think for about 2 weeks.
I don't think we're excited about Casey Schmidt at all, right?
No, I mean, he had a stretch last year where he looked mildly interesting because was he eligible like all 4 infield positions last year?
Like that.
But no, I think he's just keeping the spot warm until Bryce Eldridge forces his way up, which I expect to be pretty quick.
And the White Sox, a day earlier, have already announced their lineup for Thursday. Chase Mydroth, Colson Montgomery, Miguel Vargas, Andrew Benintendi, Austin Hayes, Munetaka Murakami, Everson Pereira in right field against a right-handed pitcher. Mildly interesting. And then Edgar Caro and Luis Angel Acuna. So they're going up against Jacob Misiorowski. And it looks like it was Brooks Baldwin went on the IL with an injury very late here in spring. So
an elbow injury.
I guess Everson Pereira is set for some early season playing times.
Go Will Venable. He's just so excited. He's like that Charlie Brown comic, where he's like tossing and turning, and then the sun comes up and it's a giant baseball. That's how Will Venable's feeling right now.
I almost went and got like a last minute baseball tattoo today, and I was trying to decide between that, the baseball with the sun rising, or there's a Charlie Brown comic, a Peanuts comic, where he says, "No, my problem is I love baseball too much." I think either one of those would be fitting.
Mm-hmm. Let's wrap up with our 2026 predictions for the season. So award winners, division winners, wild cards, World Series. And who do you guys have here for the Rookie of the Year? Both in the AL and the NL. So we will start there. Rookie of the Year.
Most room for disagreement here. Both AL and NL you want?
Yep. Throw them out.
AL,
good picks.
AL, I'm going Samuel Basallo. It was a tough pick, but I think he's going to hit a ton of home runs. He's going to be one of those catchers who gets to 30 plus, and I'm invested in him in a ton of things. He's the catcher I probably drafted most, so a little bit of wish casting there. Samuel Basallo. NL, Nolan McLean. I think he's going to fly under the radar just because people know him well, but he's technically a rookie, and being somewhat proven, I think, is an advantage in terms of how good of a rookie season he's going to have. I almost picked J.J. Weatherholt there, but Nolan McLean.
Chris?
I went with Kevin McGonigal in the American League, but I think there's really good choices for both of these all around. The AL, I think you can make a case for like 5 different players, really. But I'm going with McGonigal. I think he's got a very major league ready skill set. He's going to play an important defensive position for what I think is going to be the AL Central winner. I think he's going to get a lot of credit for that.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. And then I also went with Nolan McLean. I feel like he kind of has to be the default pick. I know J.J. Weatherholt's very good, technically a higher ranked prospect in most lists.
I thought you were going to double up on the shortstop prospects.
Yeah, Connor Griffin is also, I think, a fine pick, even though he's not on the roster on opening day. Remember, Paul Skeens won Rookie of the Year despite not debuting until May. But Nolan McLean, I think a big part of it is just he's probably going to throw like 175 innings if he stays healthy. That's a huge edge for a rookie pitcher.
He threw close to 150 last year. So
yeah, he's a rare rookie who has no discernible limitations as far as his workload.
For me, I have Kazuma Okamoto in the American League. That's kind of a cheat code. He's coming over to the States a little bit older, more of a polished hitter at this point, but looked really good in the spring. Someone we like a lot. National League, I mean, it's no surprise. If he outperforms Freddie Freeman, Sal Stewart is winning the NL Rookie of the Year. So
I'm glad that we got some disagreement there because I can't imagine there will be any disagreement on Cy Young or MVP.
Oh.
So how do you guys want to do this? Because should we have like a non-Skeens and Scooble division for Cy Youngs? Because
I did not pick Skeens or Scooble. Just straight
okay.
up. I did not pick either one.
my official picks are Tarek Scooble and Paul Skeens, which is just incredibly boring. But I have non-Scooble and Skeens picks as well. But I'll let you guys go first.
So let's talk about mine. You picked Skeens and Scooble too, Chris?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, those are great picks. Obviously, it could happen.
Oh, it could?
It could obviously happen. Yeah. But I think these are totally realistic. Garrett Crochet. I mean, it was kind of a coin flip between him and Scooble last year. I think.
How many votes did Crochet get?
I think Scooble's due for a little tiny bit of a step back. And NL pick is Chris Sale.
Homer.
I think.
Scott, can you zoom out a little bit?
Yeah, I'm wearing my Braves jersey. But listen, like obviously he was the NL Cy Young 2 years ago, and I think he was on a good trend to become that last year if he hadn't broken his wrist. Yes, he got hurt again. Oh yeah, injury risk. He was diving for a ball and broke his wrist.
In the
like
ninth
it wasn't.
inning.
It wasn't a pitching related injury. In his final 16 starts last year, because he got off to a slow start. Remember, final 16 starts. Chris Sale had a 1.76 ERA, a .94 WHIP, and let me see if I can get the K per 9 real quick. 11.7. It was final 16 starts, 1.76 ERA, .94 WHIP, 11.7 K per 9. That'll play.
Wasn't it like that'll play? 5 out of 6 starts after he came back from the IL with 9 or more strikeouts.
With exactly 9 strikeouts. Yeah. Yep. He looked great after returning. I think just got to keep him healthy, and he's very much up there with Paul Skeens.
So again, my official picks, Scooble and Skeens. I did make, non-Scooble and Skeens picks. I know you poo-pooed him earlier, Scott, but Jacob deGrom, man, I think he gets better the second year after the Tommy John surgery. Kind of wore down late in the season last year. I think that's totally acceptable because he just hadn't thrown that many innings in a long time. I think he stays that good longer into the season this year, and deGrom is going to be up there for Cy Young. And then Christopher Sanchez. I think he just blends volume with massive skills, and obviously on a really good team there as well with the Phillies. MVP, another one. It's like, do we do non?
It's just
Ohtani picks, or
in the past, the fatigue thing was a real thing. I don't really think that exists anymore. I don't think. Yeah, I don't think voter fatigue really.
If they didn't give it to Cal Raleigh last year, then it's not a thing.
Like a catcher had 60 homers last season, and Aaron Judge still. I don't think it was unanimous, but it was pretty close.
I think there's a way if the Royals, my AL Central pick, the Royals, if they do indeed win the division, and Bobby Witt has a year more like he had 2 years ago, even if Aaron Judge is typical Aaron Judge, I think it's possible fatigue could set in there and they give it to Witt.
It would have to be pretty much a toss-up.
Yeah. But that's not my pick. My pick is Judge. My pick is Ohtani. Honestly, since we were doing bold predictions earlier, I feel like any year that Ohtani is pitching, as is the case this year, picking anyone in his league to win MVP but him is a bold prediction. It has happened before. Obviously, the year Aaron Judge hit 62 runs with like a 480 on-base percentage, he did edge out the two-way Ohtani, but it's near impossible to do.
That is the only time since 2020 that a player not named Shohei Ohtani received a first place vote for MVP in the past 5 seasons. Was the year Aaron Judge hit 62 home runs. His 4 MVPs in the past 5 years have all been unanimous selections. That is just ridiculous.
All right. Do you? I have Ohtani and Judge as my picks as well. Chris, I assume you do it as well.
It would be silly to have anyone else but those two guys. We are talking about. I think you can make a case. It's not a case I will make, but I think you can make a case that Aaron Judge is the best hitter of all time, and Shohei Ohtani is the best baseball player of all time. The case for Aaron Judge mostly requires disqualifying anyone who played pre-integration and Barry Bonds. But if you take out those guys,
Some people want to disqualify Barry Bonds. Sure.
yeah, if you take out Ted Williams and Babe Ruth and Barry Bonds, I think Aaron Judge has a case for it.
Yeah. My non-Judge and Ohtani picks, or, the ones that stood out to me, I was looking at the betting odds. I like Gunnar Henderson to have a big bounce back season and, hit 280, go 30, something like that. And Ronald Acuna, I think he gets back to running as well. I think that we could get a 40-40 season out of him. And I think the Braves lineup could be really, really good once again this season. But, we've never said that before. So we'll see what happens. Division winners and wild cards. Let's start in the American League East. No surprise. AL East, who do you guys have?
I have the Yankees.
Blue Jays.
I actually think the Yankees are underrated. Like this is the part of the podcast I was trying to tease earlier, but I just, you look at the Yankees and like Ryan Weathers and Luis Gil, if everyone's healthy, are going to be in the bullpen by like May, and they have 2 top 100 prospects starting at AAA, and this was the best offense in baseball last year. Like I think the Yankees. I know it was a frustrating offseason for Yankees fans, but I think that team's loaded. I think they have the second best chance to get 100 wins of any team in baseball.
So it's Yankees for Chris, Blue Jays for Scott, Yankees for me as well. What about in the AL Central?
Let's just start with Chris again. Go in the same order.
AL Central, Chris?
AL Central? Tigers.
Royals.
And I have Tigers as well. I think the Tigers are like a dark horse, like World Series contender. I think they could be really good.
Team
Top
crank
two
here.
Top 2 of the rotation has matches up with anyone.
That is the strength of the team, the top 2 in the rotation.
But it's also a deep, it's not a great lineup, but it's a deep, solid lineup. They got a lot of pretty good hitters.
It's a good bullpen, and if Kevin McGonigal's the real deal right away, I mean, that's a huge boost.
I mean, the Royals were basically 500 last year. Or they may have been exactly 500 last year. I think their lineup surges this year. Just A, Caglione breakthrough, and B, Carter Jensen's there all year. And all the hitters just get better by them moving the fences in, too. So I think we're going to see.
I kind of think they only have 2 good pitchers is my problem.
I think the back end of the rotation is better than the Tigers. The bullpen, I don't know that either of their bullpens is great, but
they have a first ballot Hall of Famer as their SP5, Scott, the Tigers do. I don't know if you heard of this guy.
Verlander.
Justin Verlander.
Yeah.
I think we get a mild Jack Flaherty bounce back. I think Casey Mize is fine.
He's fine. Yeah.
But I like Noah Cameron and Seth Lugo, Michael Wacha. I like them more.
What about the AL West? What do you guys have?
Mariners.
This was the, other than the Dodgers, this was the easiest call.
Yep,
Mariners.
clean sweep Mariners for me as well. What about the AL wildcard winners? I need 3.
Blue Jays, Orioles, and I went with the Astros just because you just can't get rid of them. Like, it's going to fall apart at some point. I thought, didn't they make it?
No.
They why did I remember them making it? Okay.
Not last year.
Yeah. Honestly, for second place in the AL West, it was a close call between Rangers and Astros for me. Astros probably do get the edge because of bullpen. It's a pretty deep bullpen. But anyway, I don't have either of them in the playoffs. My AL wild cards are all from the AL East. Yankees, Orioles, Red Sox.
Yeah.
I have the same thing. Blue Jays, Red Sox, Orioles for me.
My only concern there is, are the Rays bad enough for everybody else to... It's really hard to get. Like, it is balanced.
The schedule's more balanced now than it was for like 20 years. But I think it could happen without the Rays being the worst team in the AL.
Yep. No, that's a fair point and something I thought about. It's 4 teams from one division making the playoffs. It's a little bit more likely if you're in a division with like the White Sox,
the Nationals,
right? Let's go over to the NL East. Who do you guys have winning the National League East?
I went with the Mets.
Phillies.
I have Phillies as well. NL Central.
Cubs.
Do we all doubt the Brewers again?
Yeah, let's do it.
We do. They lost their ace, Cubs.
Yep, it's clean sweep.
The thing about the Brewers, though, they're so deep that like attrition just does not matter for the Brewers, and so it's like
them as a wild card team.
Yeah, when everybody else gets to August and they're like down to their 9th pitcher, and it's some scrub with a 5 ERA in AAA, and the Brewers can call on Logan Henderson or Quinn Priester if he's healthy. It's like They I don't think they have the juice for the playoffs, but I think this is just a great regular season team.
I kind of, just looking at their roster, I was on the fence about including Brewers in the playoffs, but then I remind myself they had the best record in the NL last year. They had the best run differential in the NL last year. For all the talk about the Dodgers, the Brewers, by both of those measures, were actually the best team. So they're in, but they're in the playoffs, but I give the Cubs the division.
All right, NL West, I'm not even going to ask. We all have the Dodgers. What
Rockies,
about the
sorry.
NL wildcard winners?
Brewers, Phillies, Braves for me.
Why don't we hear from you, Frank?
I have the Mets, Brewers, and Braves. So Chris and I have the same 6 teams in the playoffs.
I have the Brewers, the Mets, and the Reds. You guys can't call me a homer. I'm the only one not picking the Braves to make the playoffs.
Chris Sale's Cy Young season goes to waste.
I mean, he's the only pitcher they got.
Yeah. That last NL wildcard spot was tough because I was wrestling with, I kind of like the Giants to have a solid season, but the Padres lineup is pretty solid, but their pitching is like razor thin.
The Reds have so many players on the rise, and they got obviously an all-time great manager in Terry Francona, who I think helped them take a step last year and they could take a leap this year, I think.
And I really wanted
the playoffs last year.
I wanted the Pirates in there too. I was looking at R.L. Cohen's ATC. He does projections for like standings and like playoff odds and things like that. He has the Pirates as an 84-win team this year. I mean, that would be a huge season for the Pittsburgh Pirates. All right, with that, I mean, we know which teams are in the playoffs. Who's making it to the big dance? The final game, World Series prediction. Final games, final series, World Series prediction here. What do you guys got?
I went the teams that I think are the 2 best teams in baseball. Dodgers, Yankees. Dodgers over the Yankees. As much as I would like the Dodgers to not win another World Series, look, you take the field over the Dodgers. But if you're asking me which team is going to win the World Series, I'm going to say the Dodgers. Like it's
2024 all over again.
I keep remembering every couple of days. Oh my God, yeah, Kyle Tucker's on the Dodgers. Like I just it hasn't really sunk in that like they got another top 10 player in baseball this offseason.
And the best closer, or one of the best closers in baseball. So
it's
no big deal.
Ridiculous.
I can't hate on that pick, but I went with something a little more fun. 1993 all over again. Blue Jays over Phillies.
Okay.
I thought you were a Yankee fan now, Chris. I was hoping the Yankees would pull it out in your prediction.
Look, they'll get to 7 games, but unfortunately, they got Aaron Judge.
I'm going with the chalk here, I believe. Well, maybe not. I mean, some people probably think the Yankees are better than the Mariners, but I have Dodgers over Mariners as the official World Series prediction here. So, all right, here we are, guys. We did it. Opening day is here. Draft offseason is over. Not for Scott. Scott actually has a draft like 30 minutes from now, which is pretty awesome. Good luck with that, Scotty. But we will see everybody tomorrow. Just a heads up that if you want to catch us live after all the opening day action, it's going to be sometime after midnight. We've got to wait for like West Coast games to wind down. And that's going to be pretty normal in season as well. We're going to go live a lot of times, 12:30 around there. So just keep that in mind. We are going to wrap there for Scott and Chris. I am Frank. Thanks as always for tuning in to Fantasy Baseball today. Please make sure to follow and leave a 5-star rating on Apple or Spotify. And we will be back tomorrow. Opening day overreactions.
Woo!
Bye-bye.